Good evening, everyone. I'm going to start the evening shortly. So if you want to get to your seats. And I apologise for sitting down. I hate giving speeches sitting down, but the mics aren't rigged up to a lectern and all sorts of things. I think the parish has been a bit distracted today because we're getting ready for a big funeral tomorrow, so things aren't quite what they should be, perhaps. But that hopefully won't detract from this evening and your participation. I should say as well that it should have been the Chief Minister here, but unfortunately he has lost his voice, which is quite an essential tool for a politician. So I am Deputy of the Parish. I'm Minister for International Development. I gave my presentation yesterday under the economic banner. I'm chairing this group, but these two are the experts on this particular subject of health and well-being. So, and I must apologise as well. This isn't a very good advert for health. I'm actually rigged up to a sort of blood pressure monitor, so if you hear me puffing up throughout like something out of a Peter Sellers film, just ignore it.
It's technology.
So the format for this evening will be, I'm going to introduce the main points of our government plan, and it's going to be quite lengthy, so I'll try and rattle through it. Then I'm going to hand over to Deputy Richard Reynolds, the Health Minister, and Senator Steve Pallett to provide more detail about the strategic priority we are focusing on today, which is improving islanders' well-being and mental and physical health. There will be an opportunity to ask questions at the end. But before I start, I should mention that this event is being filmed live for Facebook. The audience won't be shown. However, if you want to remain anonymous, just don't give your name if you are asking a question. So first, I want to outline our core principles for this plan. It must be funded each year, so it doesn't leave debts for future governments to mop up. We're making decisions today that we will benefit and protect future generations of islanders. We're preparing for the future so we can withstand shocks to our economy and afford care in old age for those who need it. We're investing in the 5 strategic priorities and in modernising government, as we agreed in the Common Strategic Policy. We're investing in the fabric of our island, committing $349 million in capital spending over the next 4 years. We've established an efficiencies programme which will substantially fund that new investment. And while we're spending more in every year, we are still balancing the budget. The Council of Ministers and States Assembly have agreed 5 priorities: to put children first, to improve islanders' well-being and mental health and physical health, to create a sustainable, vibrant economy and a skilled local workforce for the future, to reduce income inequality and improve the standard of living, and to protect and value our environment. Every member of this government has pledged to children that we will make Jersey the best place to grow up. We've been putting foundations in place over the past year, continuing the work begun by the previous Council of Ministers. We'll support, improve and invest in our children's services. We'll review our education system and put it on a sustainable financial footing. And we'll make sure that children have a voice. I won't summarise improving islanders' health and well-being and mental and physical health now, as we're going to be hearing about that topic in more detail shortly. We need a thriving economy to underpin Jersey's success. So we're investing in protecting our economy for the long term as the key driver of our standard of living. We're focused on navigating the choppy waters of Brexit over the coming months and years. And we're setting aside resources to help Jersey respond to this unique economic and political event. And we're stepping up our investment in promoting Jersey internationally. We're taking action on income inequality and on housing. Access to good quality housing is one of the major factors in people's sense of well-being. We've challenged the Housing Policy Development Board to think long-term, and their proposals will come before the Assembly next year. We've already earmarked 10 million for affordable housing in 2021. We're also tackling inequality and supporting inclusion. This includes an additional 500,000 to improve support for disabled people and their carers. Jersey's environment is not only beautiful, it's crucial to our quality of life. It's a resource that underpins our communities, our economy, and our international reputation. We're embracing the task of tackling the climate emergency with energy and pace. Our Climate Emergency Fund will help us to deliver a new sustainable transport plan. It will help us move quickly on other low-carbon initiatives too. And we've launched the Island Plan review process. So these are just some of the headlines of the government plan that we illustrate the investment and change we will be bringing forward to deliver on our 5 common strategic priorities. But we're also committed to modernising government. We've consistently said that fundamental change to our public services is required, that it will take time, it will involve difficult decisions, and it will require investment. Modernising government underpins this whole plan. We won't be able to deliver our ambition or the investment in our priorities unless we modernise our public services and the way we do government. Before I move on to how we are financing the government plan, it's important to explain how the plan differs to what went before. Previously, we've presented our budget separately from our planned activities. But the government plan brings together both spending and income, enabling us specifically to link our finances to the activities we plan to deliver. The plan also offers us the flexibility of a rolling 4-year plan, rather than the rigid medium-term financial plan which fixed our budgets for 4 years. We're also considering our funds across the board, instead of in isolation of each other. Finally, but certainly not least, we're prioritising long-term sustainability, not just of our finances, but also the health and well-being of islanders. Moving on to our finances, we have followed some core principles. Long-term public finances that are sustainable for both the government and the island. A robust capital spending programme which invests heavily in long-term benefits for the island. Investment in more efficient technology and processes and in our people. Setting fees at a fair level that enables us to deliver the service our islanders need and want. And finally, designing taxes that focus on changing the approach and behaviours of islanders to support our priorities, to improve islanders' health and well-being, and to protect and value our environment. We've also carefully considered and taken on board the recommendations from experts. Earlier this year, the Fiscal Policy Panel advised the government to protect ourselves against any future potential financial crisis, particularly with the current uncertainty surrounding Brexit. This advice included running surpluses throughout the period of the government plan, using the current more buoyant economy as an opportunity to raise more capital and reducing spending. Continuing to boost our stabilisation funds, addressing the forecast future deficit in our long-term care fund, and finally implementing an efficiencies programme. So following the Fiscal Policy Panel's advice, we'll continue to bolster the balance of our investment funds to help insulate the island's economy against any future shocks. We began the process this year when we transferred 50 million to the Stabilisation Fund following approval from the States Assembly. And we'll continue to grow this fund further over the government plan with a deposit of 20 million next year from the consolidated fund and 16 million a year after. Similarly, we'll also continue to grow the balance of our strategic reserve, or the rainy day fund as it's more commonly known, by reinvesting our investments' return into the fund. Meanwhile, we'll use our consolidated fund, which currently has a balance of 161 million, to fund our much-needed capital programme. That's in addition to the transfers into our stabilisation fund, allocations for housing, and 5 million to Pump Prime, our new climate emergency fund. Our long-term care was set up in 2013 to help islanders cover for their long-term care costs. Our ageing population means that twice as many people will need help in the future, and forecasts show that at the current 1% contribution rate, the fund will run out of money in 7 to 8 years' time. So we're proposing a 1% increase in the contribution rate and a rise in the contribution cap to ensure that we can continue to support people's care needs. Just as most people don't pay tax at the headline rate of 20%, the long-term care rate is reduced for all marginal rate taxpayers, so most people won't pay the full extra 1%. This increase in contributions ensures the sustainability of the fund for more than 25 years and ensures vulnerable islanders are protected from the catastrophic care costs. As with the long-term care fund, we'll continue to protect the balance of the Social Security Fund to ensure it remains sustainable for the future generations to come. We're also proposing improvements to family-friendly benefits, which will be funded through an increase in employer contributions. So now let's come to our spending plans. This chart shows our commitment to increase spending over the next 4 years to help improve island services and facilities. The grey bars show our spending over the last 4 years, and the green bars show our proposed steady increase over the government plan period. Spending will rise from 824 million this year to around $1 billion in 2023. We've developed a capital spending programme which makes long-term investment in the fabric of our island, as well as funding cost-saving initiatives. We'll invest in refurbishing and replacing outdated infrastructure and in creating, improving and extending assets that support the delivery of vital services. This will mainly be funded through our consolidated fund, which has grown significantly as a result of the island's economic performance. We're committed to making 40 million of efficiencies next year and 100 million over the 4 years as a whole. We also committed to sharing the full details of this year's efficiencies with the States Assembly and Islanders in October, and we will be honouring that commitment. Although we've already given scrutiny advance sight of these. The rest of the plan was released ahead of time in July. When we publish these details, I hope you'll be reassured that the efficiencies plan is about doing things better and about cutting out duplication and waste. It's not about cutting services. As we explained in the government plan, the efficiencies are in 4 main areas: a modern workforce, more efficient services, commercial government operations, and more efficient government structures. Moving on to budget measures. You've all been given a handout which summarises the different taxation measures we're proposing for 2020, so I won't go through the detail. These budget measures have been carefully designed to ensure government is balancing our spending with our income without putting too much pressure on the taxpayer. The reduced income tax thresholds broadly cover increased duties. For 2020, we've structured our taxes to help us deliver against our CSP priorities, to improve islanders' health and well-being and protect our environment. We've put the highest duty increases on tobacco and high-strength alcohol to encourage islanders to make healthier choices. And we've proposed increases in fuel duty to fund a new climate emergency fund to help the government tackle climate change. Finally, in summary, I'd like to stress that this is a government plan for sustainable well-being, for responsible spending, and for delivering the priorities agreed in the Common Strategic Plan. I'm now going to hand over to Deputy Richard Renouf and Senator Steve Pallett, who will talk you through improving islanders' well-being and mental and physical health. However, first I think we've got a short video to show you.